Hello everyone, hope you're well today. Happy New Year. Hope the transition to 2020 to 2021 was smooth and fun. I'm really happy to be with you today. I just brought you to the tea house. We're in lockdown now. I'm talking to you from end of December. So by the time the box reaches you in early January, I hope you were really happy to receive the January box. So am I to please to present these teas to you today. So I'll try to make it as educative as much as fun to present them to you. So again, this month we're really happy to have made a selection of 7 teas. Quite varied, and with two fights. Sorry about my English. I'm still a bit tired from all the Christmas sales and all the. It was a really tough year, so I'm still missing a bit hours of sleep, but I'm really trying my best with the best English I can. So. We have 2 fights. We have 2 green teas from Longjing. I'll show you. So just just a quick I'll say that a quick check of all the teas that are in the box, and then I'll enter the details. So 2 Longjings, so the same tea but from 2 different places. Shifeng and Dafo. Dafo is from 1 hour and a half from the birthplace of Longjing, that is near Hangzhou. And Dafo is where a Buddhist temple, Buddhist people there planted the Longjing many decades ago, and now they made their own Longjing, and the taste is quite different from one to the other. So I'll discuss a bit more about it soon. Then I'll present you the same tea from northern Taiwan, so Pingdun Baozong, so the pure one as we can find here, since we're working with Mr. Zheng since many years, and really floral, and we've made house roast here for 20 hours, about 20 hours. So the same tea that have been kind of roasted lightly to bring more like honey and sweet notes to it, and you have the really floral version. So the same lot that have been unroasted and roasted. So I think that's a really fun experiment to do. I hope you'll have a lot of time in January to enjoy these teas, and there's no rush about any of these. They're quite very stable. So if you have you can just enjoy them on the many months to come, actually, on the next months. So after that, we've put some black teas. One from Darjeeling, which is a really special middle flush. We say it's a second flush officially, but really what it is, it's like a middle season between first flush and second flush, and that's the old batch went to you because that's a really experimental tea I brought in a bit for you. And Jinjunmei, which is like the champagne of black tea from northern Fujian in the Wuyi Mountains. And this is one of my favorite teas. So I was really feeling like to share with you one of the teas I find that is the most complex, the most as wine tasting. You can enjoy so many layers of aromas. You have this for sure in a black tea like this, so low caffeine, so that's probably a really nice if you want some comfort and just like some cocooning black tea. That's the one, I think, anyway. So really toning Darjeeling and really calming black tea. And to finish, we have Pu'er from Wild Tree from Yiwu Mountain. Is one of the famous mountains, like the second after Banzang. It's the second mountain, the most famous in China, in Yunnan, and 2004. So really still young, really teenage, very vibrant, and still many years to age for this tea, probably 40, 50 years that could continue to have this tea mature. You don't have enough to go through 40 years, but that will be a fun taste to just as a bit like a time capsule to just capture the feeling of a in between. It's not so young and still not completely ripe and mature. So that's a really nice pour, I think, for after the Christmas time and having eaten too much wine, too much alcohol or sugar. So that's a really good tea. So yeah, let's start. I have my water is almost ready and we can start. So just by that time we'll discuss a bit more about the Longjing. So Longjing is it's a cultivar, so it's a varietal of tea plant. It's a place where it comes from, actually, Longjing, near Hangzhou, which is not far from Shanghai. And it's also a technique, a way of shaping the leaf, which is flat leaf. And so every Longjing is flat and a bit that way. I've seen some black Longjing, but that's really marginal. Like it's really like a green tea, chestnut tea, and really, really deep and that kind of warming note. So in Longjing, there's many places. There's Méjiao and there's Shifeng. Shifeng is it's like the Saint-Emilion of Longjing. It's like the most renowned place. More expensive teas comes from there too. So I have a producer that I've encountered when I was there that is really really nice old couple that still makes tea there, and so they make this Longjing for us. Really, really classic taste as a Longjing. And then the Dafo, which is another place further away from, still in Zhejiang, but further away south of Hangzhou. And this one, the way they roast the tea. So when they hand fry the tea in the wok, they hand fry longer, and that gives that yellow color to the leaves, and it will enhance all the roastiness in it. So really, the taste of Dafo is more like Lay's chips or peanuts, roasted peanuts, or pine nuts. You know, so it's really, really roasted and that gives kind of brightness and like sunshine in it. So it's really, really comforting, really bright and vibrant. I really like this one. That was my favorite out of the two. After tasting many times, maybe I'm more classic guy, I'm a bit conventional. So Shifeng is really, really like that little white flower, asparagus, chestnuts. That's the type of what you can expect of a Longjing, greener, a bit greener. So it will be fun for you to just compare the two. So this type of tea is really a tea to enjoy in a Gaiwan, like if you want to make several brews, Gongfu with the Gaiwan, or in a glass, like I was showing you for Taiping Wukui, a bit the same thing. So you would just drink from the glass and the leaves would fall to the bottom. You can look at them, but it's really the idea is having a continuous brew. That will enhance all the freshness, and so you can brew it in a large teapot like this too. But and Longjing can hold it's not so light, you know, so it will fill up all the water, which is more in larger, the ratio is larger, so Longjing can handle that. But still, I think to really appreciate because those are two Grand Cru, so they are more expensive and they have all those details like dentelle that will just be tamed down if you have a larger volume of water. So I really recommend the Gaiwan. We'll show you with in the previous video. You can look again. I think it's the first video I showed the Gaiwan, and I'll show you with the Oolong. We'll just make in a few moments. So really fun to compare the two. Maybe you can preserve the Dafo for when it's a grayish day, a bit damp and cold, and that will brighten your day. And the chiffon is more mellow and round, and maybe that's for a day that is already a bit sunny outside. So anyway, I think you'll enjoy the difference between the two. So for the Baozong, I'll show you. I'll just brew right now. We'll brew it in the Gaiwan with side by side. I hope you see well. So Gaiwan allows you to brew any teas from China or Taiwan, like whole leaf. So the idea is really to warm up your vessel, and during that time I can just talk to you about. So Pingli Baozong is a really classic. It's one of my first love from Taiwan. Really flowery. I really enjoy the honeysuckle, apple tree blossom, that type of really elfic, flowerish aroma. Not so sticky, but really, really powerful in purity, kind of white flower, you know. And Baozong have that. Oxidation level is about 15%, 15 to 20, and it's Xingqin Oolong. So it's just a really complex cultivar, the one that is mostly used in Taiwan anyway. And so the idea of baking the tea and showing you the two was something we had in mind. Marc-André and Robin and Marie, my teammates, we knew that we would reserve a month, so we thought January was a good one to make you the comparison between the two. So the house roast is a recipe that Mr. Lee, our Dongding tea farmer, shared with us. It's a secret recipe with levels of temperature for 80 Celsius for such time, and then you rest the tea, and then you start a week later and you just push it a bit further, higher temperature, and then you stop. And so those kind of level in an oven like this. Normally, that's not a professional oven, tea oven. It's one for like amateur like us, you know, just for fun. It smells super good, and we cannot do deep roasting with it because it doesn't have temperature retention, heat retention, and it's really it's really limited. And they say it's like, what, you're still roasting with that? No, you need the real thing. It looks like a fridge, looks like a big fridge. You open, then you have trays in it, and it's like convection, so you don't need to stir like us. We need to stir the tea after each 20 minutes. We have to stir so the tea from the bottom doesn't toast more than the one on top, you know. So it's really a cheap toaster I brought back I just sent to my, it's not really heavy, so it was easy. But the other one is not so expensive. It's like $1,000, but it's just that to ship it overseas from Taiwan, it's like $2,000. So makes it like we think maybe in the future, but not now. It's not. We don't make enough for this, and they make it so well for us and not so expensive. For the price difference, it's worth that they make it themselves. But it's fun to do. And Robin, everyone helped. That I shared with Robin the recipe of Mr. Lee, and now I think it's really, really good. I hope you'll enjoy it. So we'll just brew, and you'll see the difference in color and difference in taste also. At home you'll see the taste. So the quantity to put in a Gaiwan, any tea, is about 4 to 5 grams in a small teapot as well. So I really recommend a little digital scale like this at Amazon or other shop. Maybe you can find. It's like a drug dealer scale that they say is for jewels. Yeah, but for tea anyway. So if you put about 5 grams, that's about it to make a really good brew. So I just do it a bit intuitively here, but up. We'll put the unroasted on this side and the roasted on this one, so on your left side for you. Yeah. So higher temperature of water. I don't need to rinse because it's a leaf that is open, it's not rolled, and it's not aged. So I normally don't rinse oolongs unless it's an aged one or a super not well roasted charcoal one, just to get rid of the charcoal taste, but in this case definitely not. So the brew will be about 20 seconds, the first 2 brews about 20 seconds, and then we can increase a bit more every brew. We can brew at least 6 to 8 times with this tea. I really love to smell, maybe I said it in the past video, but I always say I always love to know when the tea is ready by smelling at the lid of the gaiwan. So that gives me a good clue of when the tea is ready. So this is the unroasted one, and here we have the 21 hours roasted. Voila. By the way, just because I think of it now, we'll do a Facebook Live. It will be in French in general, but the Facebook Live will be on January 17 at 11 a.m. And that's a try. Like I just want to, that's just like we're just doing a test with that, but we want you to be there if you want. So you can ask us questions. So I'll be there for half an hour or 1 hour, depends on if questions arrive and all that. So I'll be with you, I'll brew the teas, and you can ask me any questions relative to tea or life. And so we can be together in sharing. So I chose Facebook because a lot of our customers are on Facebook, but also because it gives you the opportunity to type a question, and people will see the question, and so you can ask in English, no problem, and I'll answer in English if it needs to. So please join January 17 at 11 a.m. That's the meeting together. So I've here the So the unroasted one is really on the light side, really fresh, really like flowery, super round and light, a bit almost marine, like you have that kind of green tea-ish feeling to it. Really white flower and a bit mineral, but really fresh. And the roasted Baodzong, yeah, so deep, so sweet. You have really that honey feeling to it. Like I said in the French video I just made a few moments ago, feels like the bee have visited the flower, and here the honey is made. So maybe that's their secret recipe to make honey. They cook it. No. But it's that kind of concentration that is kind of all the flower has transformed in honey. So I think that's really, really nice. Yeah, amazing. So Robin told me, I think you'll like the roast. It's really good. He told me a bit earlier today, and I think he's right. That's a really good one you're getting now. So yeah. I won't rebrew a second time. I did in the French video and made the video too long. So, but actually it's the same thing. I just open the guy one, I just add more hot water. Can be a bit cooler, that's like 90, 92 on the second brew. And then when 20 seconds, blah, blah, when you're ready, you can rebrew 3-4 times, and maybe at the fourth brew you can boost to 98 degrees Celsius again, just to dig a bit more in the leaf and to extract a bit more. So yeah, I hope you'll enjoy really to see the difference for both not challenge, but fights between the two Longjing and the two Baozong. Mr. Zhang is so nice. He would be really proud of sharing this with you. And I would be I'll try to keep a bit of our house roast to make him taste next time I go to Taiwan, so I can show him what I did with his tea. I'm sure he won't be he won't feel bad about it. Like he probably laugh or something, because the tea makers, they are really proud of their product, and they are happy that we appreciate them. I don't know, we're not Taiwanese, and we're not probably not the real tradition as the way they are, but I'm pretty sure you would be really happy to know that we tried to make experiment with this tea. Let's say it that way. yeah. Okay, after I'll talk to you about the Darjeeling. The Selim Hill is a tea garden we worked with before. And what happened in 2020 was the lockdown in India that happened at the same time as the first flush, Darjeeling first flush harvest. And so most of the Darjeeling first flush stayed in the tea gardens. Very few lots were picked. Really expensive one at the beginning, and then the lockdown happened, and a few ones that were not so good afterwards. So we had one. Normally we have 3 first flush, different first flush, and now we have only one, and still almost finished, Rohini. And after that, it's the second flush picks that were really good. In 2020, the second harvest was really good. So it's more like May, June. And this lot, special lot, is like what we call an in-between. It's like a late first flush or early second flush. So it's a bit in between the two. Officially, it's a second flush. So you really feel that darker coppery in your cup, more like amberish, and that fruity note, but you still have the green part of it. So the leaves are pretty big, and Selim Hill is organic. It's neighbors from Gopaldhara and Rohini also, so it's really in the mountains. It's like quite high, and you have really that kind of fruit loop, exotic fruit that is not as muscatel as what you can find in the darker official, like really classic second flush. So that really have that kind of funk that is really nice, I think. A bit lighter in the cup, and that kind of exotic fruit that you'll enjoy, I'm sure. So to compare with what we know in our customer base, we really have fans of first flush and fans of second flush. They don't mix so much. Like, it's not like someone would arrive and say, okay, I'll have this first flush and this second flush. When you love first flush, you love first flush and second. So this one is kind of in between the two, and almost all the batch went for you for this box. So I think there's barely enough for us even to cup again. So everything went into it. So yeah, I'm sure you'll enjoy this. And as we say in India, they say that the Darjeeling is the champagne of black tea. I think it's the champagne of black tea for the new world, like post-colonial tea producing countries. But the real, to me, the real champagne black tea is the Jinjunmei. So we've put this one in the box because it's one of my favorite teas, and I really enjoy this tea. So we'll brew it together. It's a tea that that you don't put water at as high a temperature. It's 85 to 90, and I really highly recommend to take the time to monitor the water temperature, because that makes a huge difference. If you burn a gingembre with boiling water, it will just become like a boring black tea. It will like a good black tea, but just average. If you really brew it like like if it was a green tea, actually, that makes a super subtle and flowery and really complex black tea. So gingembre is pretty. Now it's less rare than before, but it's a tea that is just a few decades old, and it's not like a Longjing that was made like 300 years ago, 400 years ago. It's fairly new to have those beautiful golden buds into the tea like this, and so it's modern. Yeah, that's what I want to say, actually. Sorry about my English again. Spending time with family during Christmas time. Now I really enjoy. I worked so hard since March. I didn't see them so much, and now speaking more French at home. My English is need to practice again, so it's really good. I do this with you today. So my water is at 85, so that's perfect. So I'll put again in my little Yixing teapot. So I could make this tea in Gaiwan, definitely in Gaiwan, in a glass even, in the bowl like we did last month. You can check the old videos if you want, and or in a large teapot for sure. But small Yixing teapot like this that is seasoned for black tea only, it will give really good results too. So I really recommend also if you want to make gong fu cha with the Yixing teapot like this. Otherwise, Gaiwan is perfect. Nothing to say about that. So I'll just use the water since it's at the right temperature. With this tea, you can make at least 4 to 5 brews with this amount, with this ratio. If you do like in a large teapot, you'll make 2 really good brews. The first being the best for in this case in a large classic teapot, you know. In a Gaiwan or a Yixing like this, you'll do 4 to 5 about. And it's not a tea that will be astringent or bitter, so it's really smooth, really sweet and smooth. So no worry too much about the time. It's not like the next tea. The pour is something you will need to watch a bit more for the intensity. Yeah. So if you see this color, it's normal. It's not that you've put not enough or too much water. It's really light. You don't put milk on gingembre, please, nor on Darjeeling. That gives like as we say in French, the l'eau de vaisselle, the dishwater. So you don't want to put milk on those two teas. So it smells so much like flowers, and it's it's really peony and rose and rosewood and lychee, so much. There's a wine that's called Gewürztraminer. It's like in Germany and Alsace in French. It's a bit that type of super, not too much, but poof, explosion of flower and chocolate and lychee and rose and so much. Like I always say, like wine can give you an experience of complexity that is beyond, or some scotch and some coffees too, specialty coffee. But this tea is like an explosion of aroma. It's like you have nothing to feel diminished. And it's like so complex So it's that type of tea, or oolongs are like that too, that you taste and you go, wow, that's so intense. And each time I drink it, I discover something new. So I really recommend you to explore it. You have enough quantity in this little bag. We've put quite a lot of grams in there. Even if it's a smaller size bag, the leaf is really small. So explore and have fun with it. It's really, really smooth, really fragrant. So I hope you'll enjoy this one too. And if you know it already, try to revisit it as if you didn't know it. It's not the same tea maker as what we had in the past years. It's really good, a bit cheaper in price. And the reason is because Mrs. Chen husband, Mr. Chen, I never met him. I meet her normally. I'm dealing with her, and her husband is in the field, and he missed the weather was super good last spring, and I don't know what happened, but rain happened, and he didn't pick the gingerly then, so he had to wait, and then it was too late. So his gingerly normally is like incredible, and this year sample, she said, please feel free. We know it's not as usual. Taste the sample and let me know. And I tasted the sample and whoa, okay, we won't have gingerly this year. That's a big loss for me. And but finally we found another tea maker, and we're really happy to work with them too. A friend of white white tea maker in Wuyi. They make white tea as well. They make a bit of green tea that is not so convincing yet, not so great, I think, but the white teas are really good. The oolongs are great, and Jinjunmei, the Lapsang Souchong, the smoked black tea comes from there too, but no smoke on this one. Really, lots of fruit, lots of flowers. It's really beautiful. Yeah, I think. Anyway, hope you'll enjoy. And then, just to finish, I talk quickly about this one. So the Pu'er, this one is still a teenager, as I said earlier. So 2004, so about a bit more than 15 years. And that's from wild tea plants, so 70 years and more. So it's not like ancient trees. But Yu is really renowned to have teas that can age for a long time, that are really complex also, and it's one of the famous mountains. And there's many ways of storing the tea. My pusher, my Pu'er pusher, one of my Mr. Chen is really he has a lot of teas in stock that he just stores and wait when it's ready, brings them out. And I asked him for a small batch for this subscription box. So I asked for a small batch of higher grade of wild tea for sharing with you. And so he brought this one out that I felt really interesting. That is a bit like peat moss and a cedar, like that kind of wood, resinous wood, with a lot of tannins in it. So when I say don't check your time when you brew it, brew it more on the lighter side, because otherwise it can be biting a bit, so astringent a bit. So that's fun also. That makes you'll feel like eating right after, like I have munchies, like to compensate that kind of the tannins are digesting you, So really those notes of cedar, of almost camphorish, and but sweet at the same time. So if you brew it light, you'll have those sweet notes that are really fun and really generous. You can really brew it many times. So my recommendation is to brew it like 95, even 92 if you want for the first brew. You make a little rinse, quick rinse, and then you brew. And you make it able to brew at least 8-10 times the same tea, even can be the day after. And so really large leaf that can still age for a long time. So yeah, you'll see better in your hand than here. And you feel free to just have it once and wait for next year. So this one you don't need to hurry up to drink at all. So yeah, Gaiwan, Yixing teapot, in the bowl as we did last month also. That's a tea to discover as well that is really different from the beetroot. And when you see like a 2010 or a 2012 that is already so earthy, so almost like sometimes musty. That's because it's stored in wet storage. So Mr. Chen has some different, like in his, I'll say that, building. In the building, there's many stories, and some stories are kept at higher humidity level, and some in drier storage. And this one always stays in dry storage because he thought to keep that kind of flowery and lighter notes for a longer period. That keeps better like this, rather than other pour that have more body. So you want to increase this, so you can just do some wetter storage. But there's a downside to that. That's kind of, you can lose it, or it can become moldy or something. So, and then you get notes, or you just try to go too quick. So that's to make more money, but sometimes also some people do that. So this is really, really clean. You'll feel it. No mustiness, no moldiness at all. It's like almost like when you go to the spa and it's like the dry sauna. It's a bit like this. You'll enjoy probably that, or feel what I mean. Yeah, appreciate that way. So feel free to contact me if you have any questions. You can phone, but you can write to me in the comments below, or you can email me at info@chai.ca. I'll take the time to answer you back, maybe sometimes with a bit delay, especially with these months now, but still we'll be okay. And see you maybe at the Facebook Live, January 17. And I hope you'll enjoy, and that those teas will just enlighten your days during the lockdown. If you're in Ontario or elsewhere, I just wish you the best health and joy and peace of the heart. And a cup of tea at a time, we'll just go through all this, and we'll just be so happy after. So sending you a lot of love. Thank you very much, and see you soon.